Can money buy happiness? You might be surprised to know that scientists say that it can, but the problem is that most of us are spending money on the wrong kinds of things, giving in to the lure of a quick dopamine hit instead of focusing on buying things that would give us long-term happiness and satisfaction. But what are those things? Today, I'm sharing a list of 5 things you can buy to lead a happier and more fulfilling life. And the bullet points on this list have been sourced from actual research and studies on the relationship between spending and happiness. And what's even more surprising is that in some cases, they've even been able to put a price tag on just how much happier you'll feel if you spend your money on these things. Would you like to feel $30,000 happier? I know I would. Stick around to find out how. Number 1 is to buy experiences instead of things. A study done in 2020 found that spending money on doing promotes more moment-to-moment happiness compared with spending money on material possessions. The 3 researchers who ran the study tracked the spending behaviors and emotions of over 2,500 adults. And what they found was that people who use their money to purchase physical items, such as clothing, jewelry, or home decor, were less happy than people who use their money to purchase things like tickets to sporting events, dinners out with their spouses, or other experiential purchases. And you might be saying to yourself, well, of course someone would be happier to go on a nice vacation versus spending money to buy a new t-shirt. But even when the researchers took the price into account, experiences were still associated with more happiness. So the takeaway lesson here is to put your money towards doing instead of having. Number 2 is really interesting, and it's spending money to buy back your time. If you think about it, time is the most precious non-renewable resource that we have. When I was doing the research for this video, I found one study that said that most people have more money than they have time. And one of the best things that they could do is to use their money to put towards paying other people to do the jobs and activities that they don't enjoy, so that they in turn have more time themselves to put towards the things that they do enjoy doing. So for example, if you hate going to the grocery store, it might be worth it for you to pay to have your groceries delivered to your home. Or if you're a busy stay-at-home mom who's struggling to juggle childcare and cooking and being able to keep the house clean, it might be helpful for you to hire a cleaning service to come to your home once or twice a week. By the way, I forgot to say that I will make sure to link to all of the studies and research that I mentioned in this video down in the description box below for you to check out if you want to dive more into the numbers and data. But going back to spending money to buy back time, here's a good example for you. A few months ago, my family moved back to the USA after living in Germany for 4 years. And before that, my husband and I were pretty 50-50 when it came to cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the boys. There were some things that he tended to do more often, like vacuuming. And there were some things that I tended to do more often, like folding the laundry, for example. But now that he's gone back to commuting and working in an office, a lot of the childcare and household management stuff has fallen back onto my shoulders since I work from home and have a much more flexible schedule. And I was getting so stressed out and overwhelmed trying to manage all of that, on top of trying to keep up with shooting and editing my weekly YouTube videos. So last month, after much consideration, I finally made the decision to hire someone to help me edit my YouTube videos, and that one choice in turn has freed up around 10 to 20 hours a week for me to be able to do the things that I need to do. Not only to be a good wife and mother to my children, but also to feel calmer and happier, which has done wonders for my physical and mental health. And speaking of mental health, number 3 on this list of the best things to spend money on is therapy, which might come as a surprise to a lot of you, but what's even more surprising is just how much therapy can increase happiness. One study done in the UK found that therapy is 32 times more cost-effective than money at increasing happiness. And they reached this figure by comparing data sets where thousands of people had reported on their well-being and compared the differences between people who had started therapy versus who had gotten sudden increases in income, such as through a pay raise or winning the lottery. And what they found was that the increase in well-being from spending $1,000 on therapy was so great that it would take the equivalent of $30,000 increase in income just to achieve an equivalent increase in well-being, which I think makes this the perfect time to introduce the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Finding a therapist that's a good fit for you can be tough, but BetterHelp makes it easier because they have over 30,000 therapists in their network. which means you'll have access to a wider range of expertise than may be available in your local area. To get started, all you have to do is fill out a simple questionnaire to assess your specific needs and preferences in therapy, and that way BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can schedule your therapy sessions at a time that's most convenient for you, and you can talk to your therapist however you feel most comfortable, whether that's through a text or a chat, or a phone call or a video call. And if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. I've been working with a BetterHelp therapist for over a year now, and it's been such a huge comfort to have someone to lean on for support and advice during this very stressful and chaotic period of my life. So if you're also working towards building a happier, healthier, and better life, now might be a great time to consider joining the 4+ million people who are taking charge of their mental health with BetterHelp. Right now, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/A2ZenLife. That's HELP, or you can find my special URL linked in the description box and pinned comment below. And thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Number 4 on this list is pro-social spending, which is a term coined by a team of researchers at Harvard Business School, which found that people are happier when they spend money on other people versus spending money on themselves. And in another study, the same team of researchers tracked the happiness levels of a group of people before and after they received an average of $5,000 worth of bonuses at work, and cross-compared that to how each of them spent their money. And what they found was that those who spent more of their bonus on others registered higher happiness levels than those who spent it on themselves. And what's even more interesting is that the researchers found that the size of the bonus had no influence on a person's happiness, but that the percentage that they spent on other people did. So not only will taking a friend out for lunch or donating to a charitable organization or buying a gift for someone else make them happy, but it will also give you a longer lasting sense of happiness than it would if you spent that same amount of money on buying material possessions for yourself. And speaking of making other people happy, if you've made it this far, I would be so happy if you would give this video a thumbs up. And if you're finding my content valuable, maybe consider going down and hitting the little red subscribe button and ringing the bell to turn on all notifications so that you can join me and the rest of the A2Zen Life friends here on my channel each week. I do so appreciate all of your likes, comments, and support. Now on to the next item on this list, which is spending money on things that eliminate financial anxiety. Almost 90% of Americans agree that nothing makes them happier or more confident than feeling like their finances are in order. But unfortunately, that same 2018 research project found that money was the #1 biggest source of stress for most people, even more so than their relationships or work. And one of the conclusions that was drawn from these findings is that financial security gives people options and empowers them to curate the life they want. I know that for me, some of the best money that I've ever spent was put towards tools and education that helped me build my financial literacy and learn how to save and make more money. Things like books on personal finance, online courses that I've taken to boost my earnings, or even small things like the rose gold scale that kickstarted my journey to sell off 30 years of clutter and make $50,000 in the process. And if you want to know more about that and the other minimalist money hacks that I use to save money and build wealth, make sure to go check out this video that I've linked over here, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.